that we will deliver Patriot systems to the Ukraine for the air defense. And in many other fields that are very important, we are doing the necessary stuff. And shortly before our debates, we decided together with the United States that we will do something with special tanks, the Bradley from the United States, the Marder from Germany. And one message is above all, we always act together with our allies and friends. We are never going alone, because this is necessary in a very difficult situation like this. And I'm very much thinking that it is necessary that we are cooperating in this way, and this is why I'm not announcing things which a lot of people are doing. I'm just always thinking about the situation, I'm discussing with the friends, and I'm taking the necessary decisions when there is a reason for doing so. And one of the aims we are having in all the support we are giving is that we support the Ukraine as long as it is necessary with all the means we can use, but also always avoiding that this war is escalating to a war not between Russia, which is the imperialistic aggressor, and Ukraine, who has all the reason for defending its own integrity and and it is good for us that we are supporting them, but to avoid that this is going to be a war between Russia and the North Atlantic Treaty Organization.
So if the Americans and the other Europeans said yes to Leopard tanks, you would let them go, presumably, and you would let your ally, people like Poland, re-export them, but only once you have agreed that together?
I think it will be something which is going as it is the right way it should go. It is that we are discussing with our friends, with our allies, with the United States, what is the right thing to do. And it is nothing for public debate. I think it's something where we have to work on. And so far, we did a lot, as all are realizing. And what we are doing is on the forefront of support of Ukraine. And let's be this the basis for the decisions that we will have to take in the next weeks and months, because this will be a long war.
There's one area where Ukraine, you are subject to Ukraine. You've said that as regards peace talks, that is up to President Zelensky. Zelensky has made very clear, done even an interview with me, he said that his view is that Ukraine should include Crimea, and that's his starting point for peace talks. We both know that's an incredibly difficult thing for the Russians, incredibly difficult thing maybe even for the West. Do you worry that that might be a recipe for a war without end?
I'm very happy that the Ukrainian president is ready for peace. And we stated this very often when we were sitting together as G7 in the last year. We stated this very often in many other meetings. And now it is on Russia to take a step, because they cannot continue with their aggression, and they have to go back, they have to withdraw troops. And this is something which we are waiting for.
Withdrawing from the Ukraine, as you know, is a much more difficult thing. So it's to say he's ready for peace, if he's still waiting for that level, is a harder thing.
I think it is necessary that we understand the situation correctly, and this is now that Russia has to do something which they are, as far as we see, not willing to do yet. And this is withdrawing troops. We are waiting for that.
Can I ask you about another place, China? As I said to you before, I read your essay on foreign affairs, where you said that when you came in, there was no plan B. Germany was very reliant on energy from Russia, and you had to try and work out. Your predecessor, Angela Merkel's reputation has suffered because of that. I wondered whether in your case you might run the same risk with China. Germany is the place which is most exposed to the Chinese economy out of the big Western economies. You've led a trade delegation there. America is taking a much tougher approach towards China. Do you have a plan to gradually remove China from being so important to the German economy?
Just one sentence on the situation of gas supply and all the fossil resources we use today. We are going out of using them. So in 22 years, Germany will be the big industrial nation that is economically successful without damaging the environment, and will be climate friendly, CO2 neutral. And the industry is investing billions to do this, and we are also doing this in increasing the capacity of renewables, of wind, of solar to be used, and increasing the capacity of our grid. Looking to China, I think the right answer is Germany is exposed to the rest of the world. We are much in favor of globalization. We don't believe that it is a right idea to follow the concept of deglobalization or something which is similar to that. So we have to cooperate with many partners. And the right thing to do now is that we all together, and also the business sector in all our countries, are willing to have not just one supplier, to look for others, for going to many regions in the world. And I think there is a big mistake on the further.
You have less China, though.
There is a big mistake in looking to the world. The rise of Asia is not just happening in China. It's happened long ago in South Korea. It happened long ago in Japan. They are very strong nations. It happens in Vietnam. It happens in Indonesia. It happens in Malaysia. It happens in India and some other nations to be named. And if we look to the rest of the world, to Africa, to the South of America, there will be strong nations. So I really believe what we will see is a multipolar world with many strong nations on the world, and it is necessary to have a supply chain that is not just linked to one region, to one country, and this is what we are doing now, and this will make it as strong for the future, because if there is a difficulty with one nation, with one region, we can look for the others which we are already well connected with.
You just mentioned deglobalization as a worry. Most of us, if we look now, we would see what Joe Biden is doing in America. He is taking Trumpism and adding this massive Buy America bit. Your Vice Chancellor, Robert Habeck, last week talked about a trade war between America and Europe because of all that fact that he is concentrating just on American jobs. Do you think that is a realistic fear, that we're heading towards a trade war between America and the European Union?
I'm sure it will not happen. We are working very hard to avoid a situation like this. And yes, we are very much appreciating what is the basis of the decisions of President Biden and the Congress, saying that they are willing to invest into a better future, which is more looking for environment, developing climate-friendly industries, which I very much support. And the right question is how to deal with your friends in the world, and especially if you are a nation that was fighting so long for free trade, which we do, and which the United States did also. So
but it doesn't now.
So we are now discussing with the government and with all the political people in the United States that it should not happen, that local content regulations are against European partners. And I'm quite optimistic that we will reach an agreement in this field. And we are working for that. And yes, we are also doing a lot for developing our industries, and we will do so. So, as I already said, we will invest billions in developing renewable energies in our country, and developing the grid, in developing hydrogen. And Germany, as a growing nation, is very much willing to do this. What is necessary, we are open to people from abroad working in our country, and you saw in the past that this happened, and it will continue to happen. We will be the nation that is willing, and Europe also will do, that is willing to look for renewable energies as electricity supply, and to electrify industries and mobility, for instance. And we are looking for developing hydrogen as the necessary gas for the future.
But those are all being pushed down jobs, local jobs for local places. Do you worry that Joe Biden in some ways is worse from a trade war than Donald Trump? Joe Biden's much closer to the unions. It's him who's come forward with all these Buy American provisions, which Donald Trump didn't.
So I'm a labor lawyer by profession, and I'm very close to the trade unions, and I'm very much looking to developing the industrial perspective for Germany. We are the fourth biggest industrial nation in the world. We are quite economically successful, and we want to continue the strength of our economy and being an industrial country. And so there is a need for cooperation, and I'm still in favor of the idea of globalization, creating wealth all over the world, which I think we should look for.
Last week, your party floated the idea of more joint EU financing to help Europe's green tech industry, compete with the Americans. Would you be prepared to endorse that idea? Do you think that's something you could take to the European Union and say we should do that together?
You know that I was one of the architects of the European Recovery Plan,
yes,
which worked so successfully fighting against the COVID-19 pandemic. But most of the money that is in this plan for investing into the future is still not invested. So we have a broad basis for activity.
Yeah, but it's quite interesting. You also said back then that this was a Hamiltonian moment, referring to Hamilton, who came up with the idea of a fiscal union in America, put very simply. It does feel as if Europe is gradually heading towards something where maybe Germany is prepared to see joint borrowing, as long as the money isn't then given away, that it's stuff that is then borrowed, then lent to individual countries. Is that where you are? That seems to be where you're heading. How Hamiltonian do you feel now?
I still feel Hamiltonian, but I was very clear what I thought it should be, looking at Europe and the reality of the 21st century, which is not just the same.
Yeah.
So the task is that we are acting together, and yes, for fighting against COVID-19 pandemic, we decided to have a chance for taking sovereign for common
borrowing to support
in this field, which was decided and is the reality now, but it was just restricted to this one moment. The Hamiltonian moment in this case, a bit different to the historic situation of the United States, is that we also decided to pay back together. And,
yes,
and this is something where still some decisions have to be taken, but this creates the situation where we are coordinating our activities. And yes, this is, I think, the message that was sent out in this crisis, that we told all the markets that we will stick together. But now we have done this. We have a lot of money that is still there to be used.
Use that money.
There is a good chance to use this money.
I wonder what you thought of relations with Britain at the moment. Again, you come to Europe, the European Union from Britain at the moment. You get stuck in a long queue with other people who have nothing to do with the European Union, whilst by contrast, people in the European Union arrive in Heathrow and walk through. When do you think it will be time to stop punishing Britain for Brexit? I know that is a strong theme of the French, who you're going to go and see this weekend, but Germany has generally been more kind of grown up about those things. Where do you stand on that?
I don't think that there should be any punishment, and I always opposed any idea like this.